if you have the typical call manager directory, more than likely these phone numbers were added in over time and there was no real particular standard adhered to with the line descriptions or anything like that. Just pretty much whatever the administrator or the user decided to be the phone label ended up being the phone label. That's not going to work out for our hierarchical dynamic directory that uses the display ASCII characteristic of each line to populate. So like down here, I got guys all over the place. I got B-code training room. I got this guy platoon leader. I'm not even sure which platoon he's associated with, which company, or even battalion for that matter. It just says platoon leader. Thanks. That doesn't help out much. So before getting these things relabeled and standardized, you're going to have to do probably a little bit of detective work and figure out exactly what number is associated with each duty position for this to actually work. Another thing you're going to have to do after you do all that investigation and figuring it out is go through and relabel these. And like I said, in particular, it's going to be the display ASCII or the ASCII display that it's going to be running off of. So I want this standardized. Everything's going to have in this battalion 1st of 13th space S6 and space OIC for the guy who is actually in charge, not just generally the S6 section in general. And I'm going to match this all the way throughout all the other characteristics. Now, you don't actually have to do this in order for the directory to work, but it does get the label correct on the phone itself. And I'll go ahead and do that same thing up here under the alerting name, description, etc. And I'll go ahead and save that. And also do it for the device to make the device easier to find as well. And go ahead and save that. Now, if you got, let's say, 1,000, 2,000 some odd phones in your directory, that's going to take a lot of time doing that for each individual phone. And if you got some privates with nothing better to do, and are actually pretty competent, you could probably have them knock this out in about 2 or 3 days. However, if you don't have the luxury of manpower, it might behoove you to export all of these into a CSV file, take care of it through Excel, and then re-import it. And I'm going to show you how to do that. First thing we need to do is go into bulk administration, and what we need to do is create a template that we're going to use to export the values associated with each one of these lines so we can edit them. So go to bulk administration, phones, phone file format, and create file format. We're going to go to add new. I'm just going to do this, call this export labels. We're definitely going to need the device name and the device description, and down here under the lines I'm going to go and grab every little bit of information that can help me identify that line. So I'll get the alerting name, the display, ASCII, add them down there. We get this alerting name as well. Now I don't really need all of these, it just gives me clues as to who this line belongs to. I will definitely need this directory number, so make sure to grab that. Grab this one, and let me get the lines down here. Get the line description, the line text label, and that's it. And down here, since some devices may have multiple lines associated with them, I'll go ahead and grab the number of lines to make it 4. Now there could potentially be more than that, but it's probably a rare circumstance. So I'll go ahead and save that. Now we're going to actually do the export with that export label file template. So go to bulk administration, phones, export phones, and specific details. I'll just do find to grab everything within my directory, and you can filter it on down a little bit using those search parameters. Go to next. Now I'll go ahead and call this exported labels. And I'll choose that phone file format that we created earlier, and it'll do run immediately and submit. Now if I go to bulk administration, job scheduler, I can go to find here and monitor the status of that job. And it's the last one that was executed. It looks like it's successful down here. It's still processing up here. I'll just go and refresh and wait for that to become completed. Now if I go back to bulk administration, upload download files, and go to find, it should be exported labels. I'll just click that and go to download selected. Save and open. Now it saves it as a text file with, a bunch of commas in it, and basically what this will end up being is comma separated worksheet that I gotta open up in Excel in order to make this a little bit more manageable. So I'll go ahead and close this, and let me go ahead and get Excel open, and I'll get this worksheet open. In order to see this worksheet, I need to change this from all Excel files to all files. I'll be able to get that text document. You see, I've done this video a couple times. It'll be delimited with commas, tabs, etc. And just go next. I'll uncheck the tab and check the comma. And I'll separate it all out into different rows. Finish it up. And there I got my different rows. Now if I did have multiple directory numbers associated with the device, I'd want to go ahead and grab the device name, paste it next to the directory number column, insert it, and then take these and basically, not that, but basically move that entire line below these lines here so I can update those directory numbers. But being that I don't have additional phone numbers associated with anything, I can go ahead and get rid of all this stuff and just delete it. Get rid of that one too. Now, what I want to do is create a new column at the end here, and this is what the new label is going to be once we standardized all this thing and done our investigation, figuring out what number this is actually associated with, etc. And this is what the standardized results are going to be. So just for an example down here, I'll go and use first of 13th, BCO 2 for the platoon, and platoon sergeant spelled out. Now you'll notice I don't got a space or anything between platoon and sergeant, because the way that the script or this PHP file parses everything out, if I had a space there, you'd navigate to first of 13th, followed by BCO, followed by 2, and then you'd see platoon, and you'd have to navigate in there in order to see platoon sergeant. But I don't want to have that. I want platoon sergeant directly under the second platoon, along with everybody else in second platoon, and you'd be able to just dial him from there. Now you do have the option of putting a hyphen if you just want to make it look a little bit more aesthetically appealing. And I'm going to go ahead and pause it right now and take care of the rest of these labels. And through the magic of time, I got all that done. One thing I want to point out here is the command element for the battalion. You'll notice I have a hyphen in front of the command because it starts with a C, and if I left it without a hyphen, the command element would appear between Bravo Company and if I had Charlie Company. So I put that little hyphen, and that will cause it to appear before the ACO here. So now I'm going to go ahead and prepare this worksheet for being re-imported using my PowerShell script back into the directory and update all these lines. So I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of this because it's old, and really all I need are the new phone labels, the phone directory numbers, and the device names. So I'll get rid of this stuff here. And I'm going to change the headers so the script can actually pull from the CSV. Now, device name, I'm just going to get rid of this space. Directory number, I'm just going to change to number, spelt out. And this new label is just going to be label. Now go ahead and save that. And I'm going to call it new labels. Since this is like the umpteenth time I'm doing this, just -A. and I'll save it as a CSV MS-DOS file. Save. Yes. Now the next thing we have is a PowerShell script that'll use Axle and SOAP to take everything from that CSV file and update the call manager. Now in order for this to work, I'm going to have to jump back to the call manager and download this Axle toolkit, same thing we did for the server, in order to get the necessary files for the script to operate. And when I got that open, I go to under Schema, 8.5 or current, depending on your call manager, and I'll just copy this information to the same directory this PowerShell script is located in. Now I'm just going to go ahead and edit this and run it directly from PowerShell ISE. And the only values you should have to change in here is the script path to match wherever you save that file, and these files in particular. We're going to change this to wherever we saved that, or whatever we saved that CSV file as. Grab the name so I don't screw it up here. And we're going to change this to whatever your IP address of your call manager is at. I'll go ahead and save this and run it. Type in the credentials for the call manager administrator account. This may take a couple minutes to start running. And after it does start running, depending on how many phone lines you're actually updating with this Excel document, it could take several hours, because it takes probably about 2 or 3 seconds per line to get updated. Now, I typed in my credentials wrong, so if you see a lot of red text, you probably did too. So just do Control-C and that'll break the script. And I've noticed that for some reason it doesn't clear the credentials if I go to rerun it again, so I'll just close this out and open it back up, and that should clear the credentials and allow me to execute it properly with the right credentials, typed in correctly. And when you start seeing this pop up exactly like it is here, labeled about 15 times, 6 times, 7 times, something like that, you know it's working correctly and it's updating that directory. And when the script says it's done, well, it's done. So I pop back over to the directory, go to device, phone, and let's see if everything turned out alright. Looks like it did. Everything's labeled to standard as we defined in that CSV file. You can go over here and everything appears to be labeled to standard. Go to edit line device or line appearance, and all these values got updated as well. From there, I can go ahead and pop over into the web server, whatever the URL for it is, /dpd.php $DSC, standing short for description, equals whatever the battalion or the root level directory I want to query is. In my case, 1-13th. Press enter. It should generate all this great XML information that the phone will use to generate your hierarchical directory. Now, it ain't going to do you much good here other than troubleshooting, but with the next video I'm going to show you how to actually implement this directory on your phones, a couple test phones, and then followed by the entire call manager.